So Jill, welcome, everyone.
Do these mics work? So can I walk and talk? Do you have a, or do I have to stay up here? Yeah, do you have wireless? Excellent. I find the height difference between speakers makes sometimes podiums challenging. So I was actually going to open with, McCormick has almost 100% brand awareness, but that got stolen from me. But that's amazing. So it is, we tend to not like to use the term legacy brand because it makes us look tired. But I would say we are a trusted brand. So I will go ahead and kick off. Let's see. Okay. Now, when people ask me where I work and I say I work at McCormick, they say, oh, wow, that's the spice company, right? And it's true, we are the #1 spice company in the world, but we actually don't think of ourselves as a spice company. We think very much of ourselves as a flavor company, and that's because, as you'll see in a couple of slides, we actually have a lot of brands that aren't McCormick, because we're a brand that goes through a company that also goes through acquisition. But the other reason is the #1 driver of choice when you eat food is obviously flavor. Does it taste good? I mean, it's also, is it the right price? Is it healthy and things like that? But it's really all about flavor. And a couple other just surprising things about the company is people think of us as a consumer product, those red bottles that you have in your spice cabinet, but we're about 40% B2B, and so we actually supply a lot of food manufacturers, food service, restaurants, back of house, front of house, and then we also have a really strong record on sustainability. So we're actually ranked as the #1 sustainable food company in the world. It's through a lot of the work that we do with farmers and so on around the world to grow our products and make sure that we maintain flavor for the future. Now, this is usually a slide that surprises people who are not familiar with the company. Like I said, we get about 1/3 of our growth through acquisitions. So some of the brands that you might be familiar with here in the US are certainly McCormick, French's, which is the #1 mustard brand in the world, Frank's Red Hot, which is the #1 hot sauce brand in the world, Cholula, which a lot of people love. It's like a fan favorite. Old Bay, for those of you from the Mid-Atlantic, you might have an Old Bay tattoo, super popular. Zatarain's is the New Orleans flavor brand. I had the pleasure of working down at Zatarain's for a couple years in New Orleans, and that brand down there is kind of like Old Bay is in the Mid-Atlantic. And then, of course, Stubbs, which is a top premium barbecue sauce based out of Texas. So, and the rest of the brands on there primarily are global brands. So while we're the #1 spice company in the world, it's usually marketed under local brand names that were purchased in those countries. Okay, so when we talk about flavor, what do people mean when they say flavor? They usually say it's either taste or smell. And taste is actually pretty simple. There's only 5 sensations that are associated with taste. It's a little technical, but it's like bitter, salty, sweet, sour, umami. Does anyone know actually what umami is? Ah, yes. Yeah, but it's like a savory taste that you might think of as being associated with mushrooms. But usually it's the flavor sensation most people forget about. The other one is smell, and there are literally thousands of smells that you can associate with flavor. But the problem is all of the marketing assets that we have to use really don't involve actually the sensations of taste or smell. But video does the best job overall of bringing those things to life. So I'm going to play an ASMR video, and I don't know if you all are familiar with this kind of trend, but you have to be a little quiet to hear it. So what this is going through is the process of making fish tacos. And this is like a video that I feel like it really brings to life that sensation of what making a fish taco is like. It really makes you hungry. It makes you want to crave that. Now, to be clear, ASMR is not the center of our marketing strategy. We do not spend tons and tons of dollars on ASMR. But we do have an internal studio who saw this trend in 2018 and created several videos on them, which have become kind of like a cult favorite. And so if you are an ASMR fan, so it's supposed to create this tingling in the back of the spine, this relaxation, that's a whole thing, right? We have a YouTube channel that has a directory of these videos. The chocolate chip cookie one, highly recommend it. All right, so at McCormick, which I'm sure is going to be exciting to all the vendors here, we do really believe in supporting our brands. We spend at the top of our peer group as a % of net sales on brand support. We believe that brands that are supported are vibrant. Now, we only have those dollars because we do obviously have a very strong financial department, because we really rigorously measure the results of our marketing, and our ROIs are about 2 times CPG norms of similar size brands. We rigorously look at our ROIs, and we've increased them about 24% in the last 3 years in North America. But it also gives us the budget to do both traditional as well as innovative marketing and really push the boundaries for our brands. You'll see down there in that circle, we do spend a lot of money on video. Video is the center of a lot of our work because we believe it brings to life this experiential flavor experience for our consumers. Okay, and I will warn you, I have lots of videos coming up later in this because I think they're super engaging, probably more engaging than me. So they are coming up. Now, when we look at the brands in the portfolio, I'm going to focus in a little bit on these 4 brands because they're brands that have very different profiles, and it shows how you can use some of these techniques to support different types of brands. So McCormick is a $2 billion brand. It's our biggest brand by far. It is a brand that is, maybe a little dustier than some of our other brands because it's a really trusted brand. It's been around 130 years. The center of McCormick is being helpful. We have a lot of chefs who speak directly to camera, a lot of recipe content, but still engagement rates that are higher on social than what you find in the average CPG brand. The next 2 brands are Frank's and French's. They were both acquisition brands from RB Foods in 2017. Very different brands, right? Like Frank's is a super irreverent brand. It's always funny but never mean. People do not come to that brand for recipe content unless it's a gut bomb. Like, I want to make buffalo chicken dip. I want to feed all my friends. We're going to get super fat. It's either that or it's like cultural commentary. It's not the same stuff that you're going to see at McCormick. Good-sized social communities, pretty high engagement rate. When you look at French's, and hot sauce, by the way, is like the fastest growing category in flavor. It's growing out of control. It's going to overtake ketchup in the US in a few years. So kind of stunning. Now, mustard is a much more polarizing flavor. Similar size brand as Frank's, not the same growth profile. It is like a fun, not fancy thing. It's a lot about sandwiches and hot dogs, but the people who like mustard are really into mustard. But no one is into any of our brands like the people who are into Old Bay. Old Bay is a smaller regional brand. We've used no paid media on Old Bay. It's all earned, but highest engagement rates. I've done more interviews personally on Old Bay than I've done of all of our other brands combined because the media loves to cover it. And I kid you not, we did a free permanent tattoo event and we had more people lined up than we could possibly service with several tattoo artists because people want this brand inked on their body forever. So it's the kind of brand you actually can't use paid media to support because they don't think it's authentic, but it is a super fun brand to be a part of. So when we talk about linear TV and whether linear TV is dead, we definitely do not believe it's dead. We cannot get the reach that we need on our bigger brands without using TV. And frankly, those ROIs are still quite strong, and they do lead, as I was talking about before, to synergistic effects with search and other parts of the marketing plan. And so we've produced over 25 new campaigns in the last 4 years, some of them global, some of them regional. So traditional campaign work is certainly a part of our mix. But we support that with something that I'm going to spend a little bit more time on, which is something we call transformational creativity. So these are ideas that we think are rooted in a cultural moment, that they are based on data and analytics that we're seeing out there. They have to be relatively expensive from a start because we do more of them than are going to be hits. So they need to also be able to be amplified by media and social PR when they are successful. We do a lot of these, but they're relatively new to our mix, and they really do push the boundaries and new frontiers for the brand. I will tell you something, when we started doing it, it made the whole company a little nervous, but now everybody's on board, and it gives us the courage to push our brands a little bit more. And doing this over the last 4 years has earned us over 50 billion media impressions. I mean, it's been a big hit for us. And it actually all started out with Frank's. So when we bought that brand in 2017, that brand is huge for the Super Bowl. When you think about what do you eat at the Super Bowl, or what do you have at the party, so I guess one of them you don't really eat, you have beer, you have wings, and you have buffalo chicken dip, by far the top 3 things. Now, what's the top ingredient in 2 of those? It's Frank's. So it is like the Super Bowl for that brand as well. Like, that is by far our biggest month. So what does everybody say when we buy Frank's? Oh my gosh, what's your Super Bowl commercial? Well, we can't afford a Super Bowl commercial for Frank's. That would like blow the budget. But we knew we needed to have a big presence around that time. And it has a tagline, which also took the company. McCormick's a relatively old company, so the idea of it having a tagline this is being telecast, so I'm going to say they put that bleep on everything type tagline. It was tough for everybody to absorb that, but that's part of the brand. So we got the agency together along with our internal creative folks, and they sat down and they said, how can we get a big bang at Super Bowl without being on a Super Bowl ad? And they came up with the idea of saying, how do we put that bleep on all the other Super Bowl ads? And that became the idea. So when the brands got released for the Super Bowl, our social team reached out to those brand social teams and said, how would you feel about us creating a 5-minute video on each of your brands spoofing your ad? And majority of those brands said, yeah, that sounds awesome. We'll totally do that. So our internal content studio created all these brands of spoofs on Budweiser, spoofs on car commercials. And then as those ads were aired in the Super Bowl, we aired these 5-minute clips on Twitter, and then those brands corresponded back and forth with us. And it was a huge hit for us. We won the Brand Interception Award of being the brand that was most talked about in the Super Bowl that didn't have an ad. And it started this whole trend of people having faith in the company, of doing things that were a little bit different with our brands. And while I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about French's, I will say French's was the next brand we went to, so call it the 2 acquisition brands. Everybody's trying to freshen up. You get a little more permission there. And mustard is a super polarizing flavor. You either love it or you don't, right? And it's also we jokingly call it, are you mustard age? Because kids don't like mustard, but they like it as they get older. And so our idea on that was, how do we increase households for mustard, and how do we increase occasions? You want to make more people eat it more often, right? So the idea was, how do we take mustard then and put it out there in curiously delicious ways? So for Mustard Day in 2019, I believe it was, we introduced mustard ice cream. And it was a huge hit. It got on the Today Show, and it actually was pretty good. People actually liked it. And I think that was, everybody was making this face, and then they tried it, and they were like, oh. And so now every year on Mustard Day, we release something new. So it was mustard ice cream, mustard beer, mustard bread, mustard donuts this year. And it's gotten to the point where the media reaches out to us and says, what's going on with mustard? What are you going to do this year? So that idea of freshening up mustard and creating what, I would say French's is another brand that could use some freshening up when we got it, and has been really a fun way to talk about how mustard isn't actually that polarized and it can be used on lots of things. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is, obviously, we only show the ones that work. There are ones that didn't work that are on this, but it's like a sense of goal versus where we got from unearned media. And you can see how important that some of these things have been to our brand. So the mustard beer up there is about 2 billion impressions. Okay. Now this is how we weave it all together. So McCormick was not the first brand that we started pushing the boundaries with on marketing, because it is by far the highest ROIs. It's kind of like the flagship brand. And people were a little bit nervous about it. But the brand teams on McCormick, once they saw it happening on French's, Frank's, and Old Bay, were like, how do we get some of that? We want some of that as part of our marketing campaign. So, of course, the heart of our marketing campaign is still kind of a traditional campaign, and I'll show you how that weaves together with this transformational creativity. So we had the distinct pleasure of launching a new campaign in February 2020, so a couple weeks before the pandemic. Of course, we did not research for that time period. We could not. And that idea, though, and it was a different direction for us, was, we are a trusted brand. We've been around for 130 years. People actually do want to cook from home. They believe it's healthier. They believe it's cheaper. They believe they're doing something nice for their family. But they don't do it that much sometimes because it takes too much time, or frankly, they don't have the confidence to do it in the kitchen. Cooking is really hard for some people. So the idea behind this campaign was, it's going to be great. With McCormick by your side, we're going to help you make this great. Now in the pandemic, where this launched, a couple weeks ahead of time, nobody had a choice whether or not they were cooking. Everybody was at home. And sometimes for the first time, they were cooking at home. Sometimes for the first time in a long time. Sometimes they cooked a lot, but now they were cooking for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. And so this actually message resonated with them because it helped give them the confidence, and we had a lot of content that went with that said, hey, you have these 3 things in your pantry, let's help you make something great. Okay, so this is the traditional linear TV ad that went along with that.
Tonight's dinner, it's gonna be great. This last-second bake sale, it's gonna be great. And these meatballs for your future in-laws, it's gonna be, oh boy. It's okay, you got this. And now everyone is chowing and tacoing and talking with their mouths full. Even Nona. Yes, Nona likes it. With McCormick by your side for over 130 years, it's gonna be great.
Now everybody has an Aunt Nona. Now, that was the original TV ad. 3 weeks after that, we had to cut the school bake sale because school wasn't really a thing anymore, but we put in another scene that went along with it. So sometimes, luck is a big part of your marketing plan too. But then we were thinking, how do we make sure that we keep this fresh? That campaign is still running in different versions. We won't have a new linear TV ad up until next next year. So we need to freshen it up and keep it relevant as things are going. So during the pandemic, McCormick, along with many other consumers, discovered Tabitha Brown. If you guys don't know who she is, she kind of came out on TikTok. She's a vegan chef. She does a lot of really healthy things. She has a big personality, and her tagline is basically, that's your business. So in other words, however you want to cook that, that's your business. And so it fits really well with It's Going to Be Great. It's kind of a confidence idea. So we launched with her initially with just a Facebook Live event, and it was hugely successful for us. And we got a lot of credibility, too, for partnering with somebody that people didn't think necessarily was a traditional McCormick talent. So we ended up taking that partnership and then creating a custom seasoning with her. So a co-branded seasoning with Tabitha Brown that we were launching on DTC. And I'm going to show you a video asset that we use that has both the, call it the pre-launch materials we use with media for that, as well as some of the consumer reactions when they received this product.
Tabitha Brown.
Miss Tabitha Brown is making a name for herself.
Hello there. Come on in here, y'all. Honey, first and foremost, okay? You ever heard that saying when people be like, ooh, if sunshine was a person, and then they refer to somebody? What about if sunshine was a seasoning? It'd be this right here. Because it is. Get into it. All purpose, salt free, and it got a little vacation feel to it. You did it. I told y'all I was gonna get it exact. I told you. Okay, very good. Look at all these seasonings. And I'm in heaven right now. It's like a dream. And listen, it's available July 8th, online only. So mark your calendars. Click the link in my bio. Okay, so you know when it's time. It's a limited time. Okay.
I'm happy to be in the house of McCormick this morning. Hey, the Sunshine Seasoning has released, amen, and sold out in 39 minutes, ready to receive the Sunshine blessing coming from the gates of McCormick.
It's absolutely delicious.
An explosion of flavor. This is so good.
You would have thought a new pair of Jordans came out, like Beyonce tickets just went on sale. Like, that's how serious this was. 39 minutes? Seasoning? Who sells out a seasoning? Seasoning.
Now, I can tell you, there's no way that Tabitha Brown comes to life without video. That is definitely like the medium for her. Now, this was a huge hit for us, and it was the second product that we'd done this for, where we sold it on DTC first, and then we used those assets to then sell it into retail. So we now have 6 products that are co-branded between McCormick and Tabitha Brown that are launching in bricks and mortar. And one of the historical challenges that we had with innovation was getting our distribution quickly enough that we could turn on media. And we found that launching things on DTC and getting that pull and being able to create these video assets that are actually used with our retail buyers has been really successful for us. Now, of course, what happens when you do something on spices? So the McCormick is over a lot of categories. It has several different product categories under that brand. We have a category called dry recipe mixes, not really consumer-friendly term, but what it means are those seasoning packets that taco, chili, brown gravy, those are like the most popular ones people have heard of. And our taco folks were like, you know what, we are really big. Why aren't you all doing anything for us? What can we do that's fun? And so before National Taco Day, and yes, there is a day for like every flavor and every dish, and we do leverage this, we launched a new position. It was called the Director of Taco Relations. And it was a we put it out in employment ads and out on broadcast media. And we asked for video submissions for people who are going to work for us for 3 months and make $100,000, so pretty good offer. And they were going to help us write recipes, help with product development, help make the content, and be kind of a personality for us. And here's the animation video that we put out on social.
Do you eat tacos like it's your true calling? Now you can. McCormick is looking for a director of taco relations. Visit our kitchens and experience a full taco immersion. Discover trends, try new recipes, and create engaging content for taco connoisseurs. Submit today.
So this for us was a giant media success. I can't tell you how many personal emails and texts I got of people submitting me their videos because they really wanted this job. But it was pretty competitive. We got 5,000 entries for the job, which meant we had to have people watch 5,000 videos, which was a huge time commitment for the organization. And we ended up picking Jo Luna, who was pre-pandemic, was a travel blogger. And then during the pandemic, she lived in Texas and started doing blogging for local restaurants to try to get them business for takeout, and she focused on tacos. So she was really amazing for us and did a lot of great work for us from a media standpoint. But I will say that led to the next year, because most of the submissions we got were actually songs. People were really excited to sing to us. And so we decided to do the next year on National Taco Day, we did a Submit Your Taco jingle. And this also, we got a ton of submissions. We got power ballads about tacos, country music, R&B, hip hop, you name it. And they were actually, a lot of them looked very professionally produced, some did not. But there was a wide variety of videos. And I'm gonna show you the winning video. It's almost hard to believe that this guy produced this in his house. One more.
Man, I'm so hungry. Really gotta get something to eat. But what am I gonna eat? It's 3:15 and I want something to eat. Been one thing on my mind this week. Some way, somehow, I gotta taste me some really good tacos. I'm sitting here contemplating, but I know what I want. Who's got a good taco restaurant? I have no idea, but I know it's clear. I gotta have my taco. Well, I open the cabinet and what do I see? McCormick's taco seasoning. Now I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make some tacos, yeah. My kids come in and guess what they say?
Today is Taco Tuesday.
So I pull out McCormick's taco seasoning and say we're gonna make some tacos. There's nowhere I can find a zesty blend of all things and taco seasoning. McCormick taco seasoning, yeah. McCormick taco seasoning, yeah, yeah. Once I add the season on, there ain't nothing that can go wrong. McCormick taco seasoning, yeah. McCormick taco seasoning, yeah. McCormick stands together for our future flavor.
It's the corporate messaging he's working in here too, which I think is hilarious.
McCormick's is a world united by flavors, where health is sustainable and delicious. Go hand in hand. McCormick taco seasoning. Listen, McCormick's taco seasoning. There really is something to talk about.
So I think like the power of some of this, I guess, more innovative marketing, when you can't control the message, is how much fun you see people having with your brands. And actually, it's not just inspiring for consumers, it's inspiring for the people who work on the brands to see people talk about them in that way. And I still laugh hysterically when he goes, where healthy, sustainable, and delicious go hand in hand, because that's literally copy off of our corporate website, and he somehow works it into the song, because that's something to taco about, right? But he won $50,000 and then also, got a fair amount of media coverage, and he's all over our social channels. What we didn't know was his personal story when this happened was he was hurt in an accident in 2019 and was told he would never walk again. And so he had started doing some music work on his own to try to support him and his family. And this actually helped launch him a little bit more. So it's been like a good feel-good story, as well as he was actually the legitimate winner without us knowing any of that backstory. All right, I'm going to talk about one more brand because it's pretty different than McCormick and how we use some of these same things and video to do things a little bit different. So, Frank's is the brand that we say has the perfect blend of flavor and heat, while hot sauce is the #1 growing category. Actually, a lot of people don't like super spicy food, but they think hot sauce is cool. So there's that sense of, what do I want, more flavor or more heat? Some people want mild hot sauce, which is kind of funny on its own, and some people want it super hot. So we try to go in the middle run of that. We are the #1 hot sauce in the world and the #1 hot sauce in the United States. And it is a pretty irreverent brand. And I will say, what I'm not going to show in here was the campaign that we just wrapped up. But we had Eli Manning after his, we're strongly associated with sports with Frank's. Eli Manning, when his retirement, we had a bunch of video of him because it goes on everything, putting hot sauce all over his garden, all over his dishes, all over. And it actually did really well during football season. But what I'm going to start with here instead is our social listening team found this post from a woman named Bridget on TikTok, and she was trying to fill a tiny Tabasco bottle with Frank's. And so we saw that, and it started this whole organic back and forth between Tabasco, Frank's, and Bridget on TikTok, and really gathered a lot of organic attention. And this video, I think, is tells it all. And there's a movie reference here. I was not a Twilight fan, and so if you're not a Twilight fan, the posters and things that you're gonna see are Twilight, okay?
Meet Bridget.
Hello.
Your everyday girl who posted a video on TikTok showing her struggle to fill a mini Tabasco bottle.
Help me.
And while most fans noticed how she was refilling the bottle, we noticed something else. She was filling it with Frank's Red Hot. And Tabasco noticed too.
Tabasco messaged me. The competitor is messaging me, wondering is the problem the method or is it that you're trying to put Frank's in it?
Am I Bella? Are Franks and Tabasco Edward and Jacob?
Bridget's TikTok blew up and the hot sauce wars officially began.
There are a lot of new people here.
Suddenly, everyone wanted to know who Bridget was going to choose between Frank's Red Hot and Tabasco.
I never thought I'd be in a hot sauce love triangle.
Bridget's humble following shot to 192,000 followers in a matter of days.
There are so many of you. Where do you all come from?
Even TikTok official joined the conversation. While Tabasco fought to win over Bridget's love, Frank's worked to take this Twilight reference to the next level.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Stranger.
But we couldn't stop there.
I posted this the other day. Oh my god. They put their own bottles because I saw Tabasco in it. I'm sorry I missed you in the movie.
And to top it off, we gave our bottle a little makeover.
Bridget's Red Hot. Her favorite. This is amazing.
But somehow, Team Tabasco was still out there. So we knew it was time to take this relationship to the next level. And Frank's was in the lead for Bridget's heart. But the time had come to make a decision. So to make this relationship official, we decided to ask Bridget the ultimate question and signed her as our official Frank's Red Hot brand ambassador.
I accept.
That's a bouquet of chicken wings, in case you can't tell.
So after all was said and done, Frank's gained 26.7 thousand new followers on TikTok, garnered 17.6 million organic impressions, gained a ton of new Frank's Red Hot customers, and took the ultimate prize in the spiciest love triangle of 2021, Bridget's affection.
It's time. Are you all ready?
Okay. So that was super fun. And I will say, it ended up inspiring our new TV ad, which actually launches this month. It's called Frank It Up, and that means that there's no food isn't food really without Frank's, and Bridget actually has a little Easter egg cameo in the background. So for people who are familiar with that, they would recognize it, particularly her and her fans. And I'll just show you this quickly.
Got to frank it up, 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 frank it up.
That's Bridget.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. I put that on everything.
All right, so I'm just almost wrapping up here. So obviously, when you talk about campaigns, that particular campaign will appear across all mediums in some version, and it'll be supported by some of those transformational creativity ideas pretty much every 6 months for Frank's. So key takeaways. So I think one of the first things is, even if your brand is a trusted brand who has been around for a long time, you shouldn't be afraid to challenge tradition. You've got to invest in your brands. You've got to make sure you invest the most in things that are proven, but you're never going to move the brand forward if you don't spend some time innovating on your message and your techniques. And when we talk about this, we really think about our earned, owned, and paid as working really together. And so how do we, when we have a really good earned idea, fuel that with paid, and also have places on our owned properties where people can interact with that idea? So flavor also is a way that is something that's really hard to convey in traditional marketing. So we use video and try to use other types of mediums that engage the majority of our senses and helping to create those emotional connections and storytelling. And then the last thing is, of course, you can't get too carried away with these transformational creativity ideas because they've got to be on brand. We do get some that come in from the team sometimes, and we're like, what does that have to do with the benefit of the brand? It's super fun, but those you really do have to throw in the trash. So that's all I had. Thanks.
Does anyone have a question? Anyone here? I actually do have one, because you talked about having to really get, be able to say, okay, even though we're a more trusted brand, we need to do all of these new things and get things to really refresh it. How difficult was that internally to get that to happen? Because you're talking about a lot of different areas, and I know with people I've been speaking with, sometimes that's almost the biggest challenge than getting it out there itself.
Yeah, so my team is actually, the global marketing team does a lot of the creative media buying, and then we have brand teams that kind of own call it financial return of the brand, so send the brief in. So there are two constituencies that we have to kind of, I guess, convince when you want to do something new and different. One is the brand team, and the other one, frankly, are the finance folks over time, right? So I would say the first thing is that our team spends a lot of time on measurement. We measure everything we do, and we also forecast the future benefit of the things that we're doing now, and we forecast that with about a 95% accuracy, so people trust us. And we have a formula with our marketing plan that's 70% proven, like we're pretty sure we can guarantee you the return on this. 20% of it is stuff we've done before, and we have a pretty good ability to tell you what we think it's gonna be, and 10% we say we can't tell you. This stuff is crazy pants, it's new stuff, maybe it's gonna work, maybe it's not, but without it, we're never going to keep the brands fresh. And it also starts with investing small and proving it out and then investing more and more. So that first, Frank's idea I talked about with the Super Bowl commercials, we only spent like $100,000 on that. It was not a big investment. It was internal time making the videos, things like that. And the impact on that was high. And when we started getting a lot of earned media from a corporate level on the innovation in our marketing techniques, that started to sell, call it upper management and so on. They're like, oh, when we first said mustard ice cream, the brand team and everybody else was like, are you kidding me? That's disgusting. We are never doing that. And then I was like, well, that only costs about 50 grand. So if it doesn't work, we'll never talk about it again. But if it does work, it might be the foundation for something in the future. And to be clear, we've had some that do not work too, so it's not like everything works. But I think that idea of being upfront and honest and starting small has really led to that ability to push it. And people actually want their brands to be more fun. Yep. They don't want to just see a linear TV ad over and over again. They want to see things on the brands they're working on. So once you can prove the financial return, they're pretty much all in on how do we make my brand more fun and sexier. Yeah. So
testing small, that's definitely. Okay, well, Jill, thank you again so much, everyone. Nice round of applause for Jill.